Hello and welcome to another McGonagall Library Virtual Tech Camp. I'm Noah, and today we're going to be looking at the Google Suite of apps. Google has a lot of different options for doing a bunch of cool stuff with just their Google Chrome browser, and just by making a Google account or a Gmail account, you can use pretty much all of the applications that they have available. So to start out, what you're going to need to do is create a Google account. So you're going to, if you're using something like Microsoft Edge or Firefox, the best thing to do would be to just look up in that engine, in that search engine, just look up Google Chrome download, because what we're using here is Google Chrome. I personally prefer Google Chrome over all the other search engines and internet accessors because it just is very open and works really well with Google, and I use Google apps all the time. So downloading Google Chrome is going to be your first step, and then you're going to have to follow the prompts to just create a Gmail account. And if you don't already have one, it's just quick and easy, just like creating any other account. I am signed in right now with just one of my accounts, and we're going to be going over just some of the apps that Google has to offer and all the great abilities you have with the Google Suite. So once you have Chrome downloaded and you have signed in with your Google account, you're first going to come and see this screen, which is just the Google home screen. We've all seen it. We use Google all the time. But this is pretty basic. Up here is where you can do any searches that you want, or do your searches in this bar here. And they're essentially the same thing, but in here you can type in your URL, and that's going to be the exact link to any website that you're going to. Another thing that you can do is add shortcuts to your front Google page. So let's say I want to add my Google Drive to my front page. I am just going to click Add Shortcut and then come up here and copy this link, like I said, the URL, and I'm going to put that into here and say My Drive. And there we go. So now my Google Drive with the nice Google Drive symbol is right on the front page, and you can do that with anything. You can do that with Facebook, YouTube, any website that you want to put, news sites, anything on your front page, just so you have that available to you, quick and easy, really nice thing to do. So let's get into all the apps that we have available. So if you want to go and explore the apps on your own, up in the top right of this main screen is some icons to click on. So this is just your profile, so this is just going to show you your account information. This is your list of apps available to you at that point, and we'll talk about G Suite Marketplace later. Then here are images, which is just your Google images, if you have any downloaded onto your Google account. And Gmail is where you're going to access your Gmail account. But we're going to be looking at these 9 circles, and that's the icon for all the apps that you have. So just as a little overview, there's your account, Google Search, Google Maps, YouTube, Google Play, Google News, etc. They're pretty self-explanatory just by their name, and we're just going to go through a few of them today. So first, we're going to start out with our Gmail, and Gmail is just like any other emailing service. So this is your Gmail account, and this is what you'll see when you start out, and this will be where you receive all your emails, and you can send out emails just like anything. If you use Outlook or anything like that, Yahoo Mail, it's just an email account. Quick and easy. You can do a lot of the same stuff that you can do with any other email account. Nothing too special here. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Google Drive. Google Drive is one of my favorite aspects of the Google Suite. It's really just the Google version of Microsoft 365, where you have options to create Word documents, spreadsheets, presentations, especially you can make forms, which are really great. So you can create like a form that you can ask people questions for surveys or tests or anything like that. There are a lot of great options. So This is your Google Drive, and this is where you're going to see your access to all of your documents. So I just have a spreadsheet and a document here, and if I want to create a new document, just in this top left, click New, and you can also upload files or folders from your computer if you have them downloaded on a computer. So you can upload Microsoft Word documents or anything like that. Create a new folder, and we have Google Slides, Google Sheets, and Google Docs. Docs is like Microsoft Word, Google Sheets is like Microsoft Excel, and Google Slides is like Microsoft Presentation. So there's also, like I mentioned, Google Forms, Google Drawings, and some other options that are cool to get into, but we won't go into them today. This is just really an overview of what options you have. Another is, so if I wanted to create a new document, I just go to New, click, I want to create new Google Slide, and like you see, it's just like Microsoft PowerPoint, how like the same kind of color scheme as well, and you can change your theme, change your title, change everything about it. It's really great, and it works really well with what I'm going to talk about next, which is Google Classroom. So if you are ever in a class scenario, either as a teacher or as a student, Google Classroom is a great place to go for using just having communication with your teacher, or if you're a teacher, giving out material for the class, or putting up tests and quizzes and homework. So it's really just a great place for that. And me as a student, I have used Google Drive a lot to be able to work really well with Google Classroom. So if you ever have that, it's sort of just a nice place to keep everything centralized instead of having to take from Microsoft documents and then put them onto my Google Classroom. The Google Drive is very quick and easy. And again, another great thing, so if I go into this document here, my example document, another great thing with Google Drive is you can have multiple people working on one document at the same time, which is really, really nice to have, especially if you're working with a team. So, like I have a comment here from myself, and so if that was someone else, you would see what they're working on, like with this highlight, and you can say, please review this, and I'll check it off, good to go, and then if I wanted to share it with other people, I could share it with anyone else that I want. So just putting in their email, their other Gmail account. They'll need a Gmail account to work on it, or a Google account with another email account. So you'll need that to be able to work together, but it's a quick and easy process, and you also can get a link to copy and post it publicly or share it with a lot of other people. So that's an overview of Google Drive and Google Classroom. Another big part of Google Suite is their Google Calendar, which works really well with anything that you want to attach to it. So what it'll do is, if you are, this is kind of the same with a lot of other digital calendars, if you have a organization or a group that has a calendar, and they can create a Google Calendar, and you can just tack it onto yours, and just keep adding those, and it'll just automatically add into your Google Calendar. And you can also create events just as you normally would, which is really awesome. And as I'm going to talk about just in a couple minutes, Google Meet works really well with Google Calendar, and we use Google Meet here at the library a lot. So it's just a nice, another nice integration with some other Google apps. So here is Google Meet, and as we know, virtual meeting services have been really huge as of recently, and so Google Meet is just Google's version of something like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and it's a really free, easy process to make a video, to meet with people in your business or your family. There's no, at least up front, there's no cost. If you want to do something more with like business and get more in depth with it, you can pay for more services, but just base level, creating meetings with people, there is a limit of about 20 to 30 people if you want to have like a really consistent meeting strength and have the video work really well. But If you want to pay for more because you're going to be using it a lot, you can, but that's not required to be able to use Google Meet. And just to create a meeting, you're just going to click New Meeting, and that's going to bring you into the Google Meet, and then you can you'll be given a link that you can send out to everyone else, or a code that they can put in right here. If you were to receive a code, you could type in that 11-letter code that you could enter in, and you'll be good to go. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to talk a little bit about the G Suite Marketplace, which is really just a place for downloading a bunch of different apps that you can attach onto your Google Chrome. So tons and tons of different apps are available. People make them all the time, and as you can see, tens of millions of people have downloaded a lot of these different apps, which are just really easy and nice to have. So let's say I want to download Doctopus, which is a great app for adjusting. Just giving you a lot more functionality in your Google Docs and your Google spreadsheets. So I'm going to click Install, and this is free to me, and it just needs permission, and I'm going to have to sign in here, and just giving it some permission, and don't feel like bad about privacy. This is all stuff that Google already has access to. And so now I've added on to my Google Sheets, and done. Alright, and we're good to go. So that's just a quick, easy install where I now have all this cool functionality with my Google Sheets that I didn't have before. And that's something that's really awesome with Google Suite as a whole, is you can download a lot of these. Some of them are paid, but the majority of them are free, and just have this amazing range of functionality for you. So let's say I want to add something like Honey, which is a Google Chrome app that lets you save on some different items when you're shopping. This is not sponsored or anything, it's just for sake of example. So here I am on the Chrome Web Store, which is another place where you're going to download more physical apps, not the add-ons, but these are more in-depth apps that you can download. So in the Google Chrome Store, I'm going to look up Honey, and here it is. So I'm going to add to Chrome, and this is just an extension. And if you look up in this top right corner, once this is done downloading, may take a little bit of time. There it is. Alright, so now we can join with Google, and so I'm just going to use my Google account that I have, and if you look up here, eventually, once I sign in, let's get this going. Alright, so I've joined with Google, and it's taking a little bit of time to load, but this is my Honey page, and now it's linked with my Google Chrome. So if I come up here and look at my extensions, I can see that Honey is here. And so if I wanted to download a bunch of these extensions and just get a ton of stuff like Zoom and Grammarly and all Hangouts, all this stuff added on, I can just go to this little puzzle piece icon, and that's where all my extensions are going to be. And it's just the same thing where I'm just kind of adding more and more applications that are available to me, which is why Google's really awesome, because it's so open and a lot of it's very free. Google has a lot of functionality that you don't get with other web browsers like Microsoft Edge and Firefox. So that's why I really love the Google Suite and a lot of the options that it has. There are a ton of other things to explore, but this has just kind of been an overview of what you can do in the Google Suite. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.